All right, so we are going to move to adding and subtracting here in the next few days. So I figured to start with something that you have done before, which is adding fractions together. You learn this kind of stuff more than likely probably somewhere in middle school, pre-algebra, maybe even before that, like math 6 or whatever, something like that. Um, but what you need to remember about adding fractions is in order to add them, you have to have a common denominator. So these right now don't have a common. 4 and 5 are not the same number; they're not common. So we need to change these fractions by multiplying them by something in order to make the denominators the same. So one of the moves to do this is to just multiply them basically by each other. So like multiply this one by 5 over 5, and then this one by 4 over 4. And you can do that because that's just multiplying by 1. If you take something and you multiply by 1, it doesn't change what it is. It just changes what it's going to look like. So if we did that, this would now become 5 times 2 would be 10 over 20 plus 3 times 4 is 12, also over 20. And now these fractions can be added together. So if you have 10 twentieths and you want to add 12 twentieths to that, that would now be 22 twentieths. And when you add fractions, it's just adding the numerators. Think of this out of 20 part as kind of like a unit. It's like if you had 10 cats and you had 12 cats, together you'd have 22 cats. Same kind of thing. So this does not become 40 because then that would actually make it less like smaller. It wouldn't even make any sense to do it that way. So you just add the numerators because you've created the common denominator. Now, in this case, the only thing we would need to do is reduce this. These are both divisible by 2. So dividing everything by 2 would get us down to 11 tenths. Okay. Now, I think a lot of you guys with this type of stuff probably rely on a calculator, which is fine. When you're doing stuff that can be done faster or simpler or whatever, and you take a calculator and you're like, yeah, what's 2/4 plus 3/5? And you're like, oh, it's 1.1, or turn it to a fraction, it's 11 tenths. Obviously, we can see it's the same thing. And, more than likely, this is how you do a lot of fraction problems because you have this tool that can do that. What you're going to run into, though, is that the calculator isn't going to be able to do them with anything that has variables in it, things with, x's and y's and whatever. So today we're going to see how do we have to deal with that. How do we create this common denominator, and how do we add rational expressions, not just numerical ones here. Okay. So that's what we're going to see in the notes today.